That belongs in a museum.
Acidic Swamp who's in your Reno lock. Sottle, is it better to play that now when you can get some good early value from it, or would you rather save it for later on when Chessdude is going to be building up those bigger daggers with Deadly Poison and Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil?
The important thing here is that it fit the curve nicely, and also you are denying 2 mana of tempo from your opponent, essentially. The dagger has come up, hasn't got anything done. You've put down this board, you've established the position. And also, turn 4 is a turn where Rogue wants to commit a lot of mana. They want to play Violet Teacher, they want to prep Sprint, that kind of thing. So that dagger was obviously preloaded with the intention of having some mana already invested to affect the board, and then that was torn away from him by the Acidic Ooze.
That's a great observation, Sottle. And I think what you really can understand too is that Rogue is also a class that many times won't let you get the optimal removal on the weapon.
Right.
When you use Blade Flurry in a turn, it's like, well, I was gonna ooze that. Don't flurry. And it's like, the Rogue won't let you because they're going for these big swing burst opportunities.
Right.
Yeah, and build
like this. So the Lotheb is going to come down here, cement the board position, allow these minions to continue to be aggressive on the following turn, and he may just be able to push through enough aggression here just to use that as a platform to build an advantage in this game very quickly.
Oh, even holding once again and not killing off the...
Trying to make his board as awkward to remove as possible, getting that 6 health Lotheb down.
Yeah, although there was a potential risky situation where if the buff from the Young Priestess landed on the Lotheb, the removal wouldn't be as clean, and then all of a sudden you'd be in this awkward spot where like, do I have to attack into that Lotheb?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really have the health to play with right now. It's been such an aggressive start, compounded with the tempo ooze that you talked about, Cora, and then the quick Lotheb follow-up to lock the board down. So taking away the Rogue's ability to attack things with their face, with their own hero power, is one of the huge ways you can stop them gaining an advantage, because in isolation, that dagger hero power is one of the most powerful in the game until you run out of health to use it.
This is clever. I really like the sequencing from Chessdude. He's playing around the idea of Big Game Hunter. At first I was thinking, you want to put out a really big Van Cleave. But he's shutting down 2 possible removal options in favor of loading up this Van Cleave as a reasonable sized threat. Now, if that Safe and Soul didn't exist, Bill wouldn't actually have a clean answer to it. So that was a pretty good move, although it doesn't end up paying off here.
Yeah, that play, very difficult to sequence. You can definitely see from Chessdude's just not useful in any match that we've seen so far. Nobody really being able to play it and get the optimal value from it. So, that would be much better if it were something like a Shredder, questioning exactly what that was intended for.
Right, there have been some Kezen target decks in this tournament. We've seen Tempo Mage, we've seen a few decks that would be useful against. It's just the people we've seen with Kezen haven't really lined it up that well, so it's been a dead card in a lot of situations.
What's funny is that if WTY Bill ends up winning with this deck, he won't need it against Freeze Mage,
right?
Which would be something that Chessdude has. Pretty interesting how that lines up. Sprint reloads the hand and gets extremely deep into the deck for Chessdude. He pulls out an opportunity here to more safe.
I heard you make a very little interested noise as that Arcane Golem was used to trade on the board there. There's a little came out from the side of the desk. Does seem like he's thrown away one of his possible win conditions here, but he was respecting how awkward that board was. Healbot, Reno wasn't really active enough to have a big impact. Healbot wasn't really effective on the board, so I guess he's decided he needed to throw away his Arcane Golem there.
Yeah.
Throw away his Arcane Golem there.
Yeah, at this point, Bill is playing for the long game, but with that power-overwhelming draw, if he had not played the Arcane Golem, he would have just been able to go ahead and kill Chessdude this turn. So now he's committed to that long game, and unfortunately missing an opportunity to shut out the game so quickly.
There was just something that told me that was just like, I don't know if he gets punished. And
cheap aggro deck like a Zoo, that 2/4 can trade really well. In this situation, I feel like maybe the Reno is slightly more effective, but also single target options against Rogue, just playing 1 minion onto the board for them to deal with backstab, or even sapping Reno wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world.
Some things I wonder if Bill actually has another form of charger into the deck. I know it's not extremely likely at all, but it's something that I wonder, like, because he plays so aggressively on the board when he had a lot of health. Maybe there's something else in this deck.
You think we might be seeing a Leroy Jenkins in here as well as the Arcane Golem?
Chessdad is also becoming a hashtag. We should make a voting for that as well. Well, Chessdude here, Violet Teacher is a very reasonable play. I think he's considering about the possibility of the Twisting Nether completely ruining his board. But at this stage, I think you have to just go for what you can aggressively here. He's even playing the Sludge Belcher just in the off case that has a Charger instead.
Oh, wow. What a top deck from Bill. Going to be able to clear off that Violet Teacher before it gets any value.
Yeah, this is kind of a big 1-2 punch combination that Reno Jackson decks can put together, Reno Jackson Warlock specifically, but you kind of want to make sure, you want to feel confident that your opponent's committed the majority of their threats to the board, then you nether it away, and then they're not going to have enough gas to fill up on pressure again the turn afterwards, and then that's when you Reno with security. So I think this might be a little bit preemptive here from Bill. He could have tried to wait one turn to get some value out of it. But he's going to be reasonably happy when he sees only one possible minion here being played from Chessdude.
Yeah, that actually worked out really well for Bill. Unbeknownst to him, Chessdude could have just played that Loatheb next turn, shutting down the Twisting Nether and pushing for even more damage. Yeah. So actually worked out really well for Bill, and we actually saw Chessdude's face. He looks a little bit frustrated, and, you know, rightfully so.
Right, this isn't the worst turn in the world, though. Gets to play the Loatheb on the same turn as investing a Tinker's Oil. Saw the Acidic Ooze being used. We talked about that extensively, that ooze, and that's his whole turn. So feels like this has to be the Reno turn. The Molten Giant draw makes you feel extremely bad about your life playing Reno Jackson, but it's just required. It's just a necessity here. You can't face down that much damage without a good defensive play in hand.
All right, but now Chessdude has seen Brand Anti-Keelbot as well as Reno Jackson, so he's almost safe to just push for that, well, now 30 damage again. He's done so much damage over the course of this game, and we actually see in Bill's hand Alex Straza, a pretty interesting inclusion.
Right. It's like, you know, good news, it's a fair game now. Bad news, you've already done about 50 damage and your opponent's at 30, so...
Yeah, and there's still, like, no sign that you can necessarily kill him. You're still afraid of Shadow Flame, you're still afraid of some other things, but you have to go this far in, because you're almost out of cards. Look at the Rogue's deck. It's extremely thin. It's probably got 3 cards or less at this point.
All right, so Bill can actually do a really strong turn. Can Molten Giant or Alex Straza, it's actually...
Now, but if that's his only out in terms of tapping, that's probably a really low percentage play.
Okay, ends up looking to get some value off the Faceless. I mean, the highest value would be to Faceless a Molten Giant, but he's really afraid of what might come out the other end. And that means that is the game.
Almost out of cards.
That's exactly 12 for the 29th card drawn here. Chessdude is just going to barely be able to end the game on exact damage. What a fantastic way to start the series.
What an uphill battle for the Rogue, having to deal 30 damage 2.5 times. I mean, that's incredible for him to be able to actually do that.
Let's not forget, he did that from the position of being so far behind on turn 5 or on turn 4 when the Loatheb was coined out.
Yeah.
That beat him all the way down to something like 11 HP, spent the rest of the game fighting for his life to get on the board, but then as soon as he got it for that one turn,